Hey, what's up, everybody, and welcome to All Things Superman, where we simply talk about everything related to Superman, from comics to TV shows to movies and much, much more. All right, guys, so it's been a little while since I've done a video for you guys, so I wanted to get something out today. There's been a lot of information that's come out over the past couple of weeks, namely that the information pertaining to the slate of the DC Cinematic Universe over the next few years. And we've just more recently gotten the information on Marvel from Tuesday about their upcoming slate from their new movies. So I want to talk about that information today from both perspectives, the DC perspective and the Marvel perspective. Talk about what it means to us as movie fans and as comic book movies fans. Go from there and see where we're headed with this whole, it seems like a whole catastrophe, an exciting catastrophe nonetheless, but it just seems like a big thing that's going on. So again, I want to talk about that today objectively, as we always do. Get your thoughts and opinions, and we'll go from there. So with that being said, let's jump into it. All right, guys, before we get started into the information from DC and Marvel, the first thing I want to talk about is something that I've been saying and that I still contend to be true since this whole comic book movie and DC versus Marvel thing started. There's been this thing that says that there's basically this competition slash war thing going on between DC and Marvel versus the whole versus the whole DC versus Marvel thing. So you have your Marvel fanboys, you got your DC fanboys, and everybody is like, okay, Marvel is winning this and DC is winning this, and DC has the better movies, and Marvel has the better movies. So everybody's on these split sides of everything that's going on. So I want to talk about that a little bit. I've said previously in some of my prior videos that I don't think that there is a war going on between DC and Marvel, at least in terms of how we as fans make it out to be online. Now, I will say that there is probably a sense, especially now, there's probably a sense of a sort of friendly competition that's going on between DC and Marvel with these movies. As we can see now, every time one comes out with something, another one makes an announcement about something. So I'm sure that there is a bit of friendly competition here. But at the end of the day, guys, look, we all just enjoy good movies. We want to go to the theater. We want to see a great superhero movie, and who cares whether or not it's from Marvel or DC. Now, me personally, of course, as you know from my videos, I am a big fan of Superman, and Superman just so happens to be a DC character. However, that does not mean I will not go see a Marvel movie if they, a Shazam that's been confirmed, and we're talking about a character with similar powers to Superman. There's no way I'm not gonna go see that movie, and I'm not gonna be sitting in there thinking like, oh my God, like he is worse than Superman. This movie is terrible because he's not Superman. No, I just want to enjoy the movie. So again, I want to talk about that a little bit before we get into this whole Marvel Cinematic Universe versus the DC Cinematic Universe and what each has said their movies and stuff are going to be. And just put that out on the table so that we're not always in this battle of who has the better movies and all of this kind of stuff. Look, a good movie is a good movie. Whether or not it's DC, Marvel, whether or not it's Fox, Sony, whoever it is putting out the movie, we just want a good movie. So again, I just wanted to say that before we jump into the first topic. All right, guys, so first thing, let's start with the whole DC Cinematic Universe slate that was announced and the movies that were announced in the slate. So the first movie that's coming after Batman vs. Superman coming out in 2016 is we will get Suicide Squad. That's the first movie. The second movie in 2017 is going to be a standalone Wonder Woman movie, which oh my God, we have all been waiting for. Also in 2017, we'll get the Justice League movie. So that's good. We got Batman vs. Superman coming out in 2016, and then the very next year we got Wonder Woman and Justice League movie coming out, which again we've all been waiting for. So good 2 years to start with. 2018 we have Aquaman, the standalone Aquaman movie, which Jason Momoa has confirmed that he will be playing Aquaman in that movie. And also we have, in 2018, the Flash movie that's coming out. standalone Flash movie. So again, 2018, another great year for the DC Cinematic Universe. A great 3 years. We got Batman vs. Superman, Suicide Squad, 2016. You know, Wonder Woman, Justice League. So I mean, the 2016, 2017, 2018 shaping up to be very, very, very good years. So here's the thing. Now, nextly, in 2019, we have the standalone Shazam movie. Also in 2019, we'll get our first Justice League 2. So crazy, guys, crazy. So look, 2016 all the way through 2019, I mean, Justice League, Wonder Woman, Flash, Aquaman. We're basically getting the whole Justice League in standalone movies. Now, picture this. Another thing that was announced is that we're going to get a standalone Cyborg movie. Now, I don't think a date has been officially confirmed or that it was put out anyway where this Cyborg movie is going to be in this cinematic universe. Maybe 2020 or something like that. We're all probably kind of guessing, or maybe just kind of sprinkled in there somewhere between now or between 2016 and 2020 or 2021 or something like that. So that's what we're all kind of hoping for. We're also going to get a rebooted version of the Green Lantern movie. So again, another Justice League character, Green Lantern. So basically, guys, we're not only getting Batman vs. Superman movie, we're getting the Justice League movies. We're getting 2 Justice League movies, which is, again, going to be great. It's going to be a part 1, part 2, which I'm going to go on record now and say I think that they're probably going to shoot those together. And it's probably going to be like a 2-parted thing. Maybe not, you know, maybe not do one and do a cliffhanger at the end and then, you know, continue at the end. There'll probably be 2 separate movies, but a continuing storyline between 2 movies. That's what I'm guessing it is going to be. And then they're probably going to shoot them at the same time. So, again, we got that. And then we got pretty much each classic Justice League member. Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, Green Lantern, Flash, Aquaman, Cyborg, which is basically the new 52 version of the Justice League. Not only are we getting the Justice League, we're getting individual movies from all of these characters, and Green Lantern as well. So very, very, very exciting slate for DC, you know, over the next 5 or 6 years. It's really, really, really great. Now, one thing I'll say about this is, you know, a lot of people, you know, have criticized DC for not having a plan in the way that Marvel has had a plan for their cinematic universe over the years prior. Which, I can understand their perspective, but here's the thing. Like, there's nothing that says you have to have a plan for your movies. There's nothing that says that you have to plan out, you know, your next 7 or 8 movies or anything like that just because they're comic book movies. Look, we get great movies and stuff all the time. If you put out a comedy, you put out a rom-com or something like that, you don't have to plan, you know, for the sequels and for the, you know, the prequels and origin stories of all of these movies and stuff. You don't have to do that. No, you put a movie out, you hope that it does well, you put your effort into it, you don't hold off, you hope that it does well, and you see what happens. And then from there, you can base that decision, okay, well, yeah, we need to do some more of these movies. Now, this can say, okay, we can start a universe, a cinematic universe from this. So, again, I wouldn't be too quick to criticize DC for not having a plan, at least in the same way that Marvel has done it in years prior. There's absolutely nothing wrong, and that doesn't mean that they were scared. It doesn't mean that they were sitting around like wondering, like, what do we do? Like, how do we, you know, match what Marvel is doing? It does not mean that. It just means that, you know, hey, we do things differently than, you know, Marvel does, and there's nothing wrong with that. So, you know, while they're sitting in their studios, they can say, okay, let's put out Man of Steel. Let's put a significant amount of effort in marketing this movie, you know, making it a good movie, doing a sort of rebooted version of Superman. Let's see where it goes, Man of Steel 2013. Then, once we see how this movie is tracking, once it comes out, then we can say, okay, all right, yeah, now we're on the money. Now we have something to establish a direction to go in. So now let's do this. Let's try Batman versus Superman. Let's try this. Let's try it. Now they're in the mode of let's try Suicide Squad and all this kind of stuff. So again, I don't think it was a bad thing for them not to have had a so-called plan before the whole cinematic, universe was thought out. And The other point to that, there's nothing that said that they did not have this plan. They just didn't announce it to the public before now. Again, well, we've gotten, I think a few months ago, we got the thing that they were going to have a slate of movies and stuff coming out. We just didn't know exactly what they were. And now we know what they were. So there's nothing that said that they didn't have a plan. It's just that they didn't come out and make this press announcement, and they didn't, wasn't so forthcoming about their announcements in the way that Marvel has been for theirs. So again, I just wanted to, be clear on that. Okay, so without going into this whole slate and each individual movie in detail and what my thoughts are about it, I'll just talk about a little bit about the things that stand out to me. And that the first thing that stands out to me about this slate of movies is the movie that stands out the most is the Suicide Squad movie. Now, for those of you who don't know, what basically, in a nutshell, the Suicide Squad is a group of bad guys. They're kind of like villains and stuff. They go to jail and stuff all the time and stuff like that in the comic books. But they have superpowers. So basically, the government or something like that takes them, and there's a mission. And we've seen this kind of thing in movies before. It just so happens to be with kind of superhero characters this time. So where you take somebody out of jail because of their expertise, for a particular government assignment and stuff like that. We've seen that in movies several times. This kind of sounds like a Schwarzenegger movie or something like that, where he's been in jail and you got to get him out of jail and put him on a mission, and then that clears his record and all that kind of stuff. That's basically the story of the Suicide Squad. Now, this is a bit, the reason this stands out to me is because it's a bit off axis of what the whole DC cinematic universe is with their other movies. Everything else is pretty classic. The Green Lantern, Wonder Woman, Flash, Aquaman, Cyborg. Pretty much classic movies. We know that they're the good guys, and it's going to be a superhero, save the world or something type movie, which is pretty classic, pretty common. Suicide Squad, again, on the other hand, is going to have to be a different type of movie. Some of the people, or one of the people that sent out to me that they were talking about, and one thing I didn't say is that for the Suicide Squad, when they made the announcement, they said that they're in talks with a group of A-list actors to play the Suicide Squad, which is pretty interesting. One of the proposed names was Will Smith. Now, Will Smith has done Hancock, so kind of a superhero movie in the past. So you can kind of imagine Suicide Squad being kind of on the same type of wavelength as Hancock. Hancock wasn't really a typical superhero. He was just a guy had superpowers and stuff like this, and he was drinking, and so it was kind of an offset, which is kind of interesting. We don't get to see that kind of stuff in movies anymore. So again, the Suicide Squad is the movie in this cinematic slate, DC cinematic slate, that kind of stands out to me. To me, I think that's their Suicide Squad is their sort of answer to Guardians of the Galaxy. See, Guardians of the Galaxy for Marvel was, kind of an off-axis movie for them. It was something way outside of their normal superhero movies. It was a gamble. It was kind of a bet, kind of thing, and it just so happened to do really well. So for me, that's what Suicide Squad is for DC. It's kind of that gamble movie, although I think it's less of a gamble for DC than Guardians of the Galaxy was for Marvel. But again, that's the one movie in this slate that stands out the most to me. Now, two other things that stand out about this DC cinematic slate is, well, first I'll talk about this one. It's the thing that they came out and said they're going to actually spend $2 billion per year marketing these particular movies. So we're talking about a massive, massive marketing plan for these movies, guys. So if you're talking about $2 billion a year, basically we're getting like 2 DC movies per year. So that rounds out to be about $1 million per movie. Probably give or take. It'll probably change, here and there. But we can just guess right now, $1 billion per movie. So let's just say 2016, we get Batman versus Superman, and they've spent $1 billion on marketing. Oh my God. I mean, Batman versus Superman is already going to be the biggest superhero movie, I think, to date. In terms of popularity and people knowing it and all that kind of stuff. Of course, we don't know how good or how bad the movie is going to be yet. We're all hoping it's going to be great. But in terms of, likability and, going in, it's going to be the most popular movie, comic book movie ever made. And I think Justice League will probably follow suit right behind that. So $1 billion, guys. I mean, can you fathom $1 billion marketing plan? Now we're talking about hoping that these movies sometimes break $1 billion mark. Most of them only get, to somewhere around half that. If they're lucky, 5, 6, 700 million or something like that, and they're pretty much good to go. But now you're talking about 5 or 6, $700 making that type of money for the movie, but spending $1 billion to market it. Oh my God! Wow. I mean, like we're gonna get damn near Ben Affleck and Henry Cavill are gonna be in our living rooms, talking to us about Batman versus Superman. We're talking about some serious marketing here. So that's the first interesting thing about this whole slate. But the other thing again was the second thing I was going to say is the Cyborg movie is the other part of this that stuck out to me as kind of a shock to me. I didn't really see them doing a standalone Cyborg movie. It kind of says to me that again, since DC is kind of following this, let's introduce our characters, in the Justice League movie first, or in Batman versus Superman movie to, kind of whet people's appetite to kind of let them know, who these characters are. It's kind of a shock to me that a character like Cyborg would get a standalone movie of its own. Now, of course, I'm all for it. I'm not against it at all. I just didn't see that. If I would have guessed out of all of the Justice League characters that's in the Justice League, the last one that I thought would have gotten its own standalone movie would be Cyborg. But since generally, basically every other member of the Justice League over the next 5 to 6 years is going to have their own standalone movie, Aquaman, Flash, Green Lantern, Wonder Woman, and we're probably everybody speculating there's probably going to be a standalone Batman and a standalone a Man of Steel 2 or something sprinkled in there somewhere. We just don't know yet, and they'll probably come out and announce that pretty soon. But again, the whole Cyborg thing he's just a character that's relatively unknown to the general public. So I wouldn't have guessed again that he would have been a person to get his own standalone movie. But great, I'm all for it. Justice League, every member, we're introducing them in the Justice League or Batman versus Superman, and then they all get their own standalone movies. Great, I'm all for it. Again, I just didn't see it coming. So that was the big thing about the whole DC Cinematic Universe to me. Now, let's jump to the other side of this spectrum with the whole Marvel slated cinematic universe that's coming out within the next few years. So basically, if y'all don't know, just yesterday, at the time I'm filming this video was Tuesday because today is Wednesday. Basically, Marvel called a surprise sort of press conference in California where they invited the press out and they were going to make these big announcements and all this kind of stuff. So all the press got there, and you can read about the story of pretty much what happened online. Most of the popular news sites or movie sites are running the story at this time, so you can find it out. But the slate that they have announced is, first of all, the Avengers 3 and 4 movie are going to be split into 2 movies called Infinity War. So you'll get Avengers 3, Infinity War, and then the part 2 of that. So it's like a part 1 and part 2. So Avengers 4 will be Infinity War Part 2. So that was one of the things that they announced at the press conference. The next comic movie that they announced was going to be Captain Marvel, or Miss Marvel, as you may know her from the comic books. And the movie after that they announced is going to be Captain America: Civil War, and we'll discuss that in a minute. But basically, that's where well, we'll come back to it because I want to say something specifically about that movie. So the next movie after that is going to be Inhumans, which is an interesting choice again for Marvel. And the final movie that they announced was basically a part 3 to Thor, which is going to be called Thor Ragnarok. And we'll discuss that in a little bit as well. But that's the whole Marvel slate that they announced on yesterday. So let's jump into that and talk about that a little bit. Now, the thing that jumps out, or the movie that jumps out to me the most in this lineup, is the Captain America Civil War movie. And the reason that it jumps out to me the most is because it seems to be, again, Marvel's answer to Batman versus Superman. So if you don't know, basically the Civil War story starts between Steve Rogers and Tony Stark, which is Iron Man and Captain America. where they have different views on something. I believe in the comic books, what the view was that the government was imposing this law to, for all superheroes or people with special abilities to reveal their secret identities and stuff like that. And then you had one camp that said, I think it was Iron Man that said he was for the government. Yeah, all superheroes should reveal their, secret identities. And then you had another camp which was kind of led by Captain America that says, no, they shouldn't have to reveal their secret identities. It takes away from civil rights, from, their amendments, their, just their rights in general and stuff like that. So that starts this two camps of thought that has a clash between these superheroes, one led by Captain America and one led by Iron Man. So again, it seems to be kind of the answer to Batman versus Superman because you get two of the popular characters. Now, granted, with Batman versus Superman, Superman and Batman are the two most popular comic book characters, period. But just let's put that in the DC Cinematic Universe alone. Not only are they, period, in general, that they are also the two most popular comic book characters in the DC Cinematic Universe. Now, the same thing can be said nowadays about, more so about Iron Man, but about Iron Man and Captain America. Over the course of the past, 6, 7, 8 years where these movies have come out, Iron Man and Captain America have become extremely popular in terms of who they are and their relatability and stuff like that. More people know about them, versus somebody else in their cinematic universe like a Thor. People of course, know who Thor is and they love the movie, but they don't have the same relatability or likability for a Thor that they do for Captain America or an Iron Man. It's not to say that they don't like Thor, which, most people generally do. I'm just saying in terms of relatability and likability. It's arguable that Captain America and Iron Man are now the two most popular Marvel comic book characters in terms of the cinematic universe anyway. So, again, it just appears that this is Marvel's answer to Batman versus Superman. You got two popular characters, Batman and Superman, that's going to basically duke it out and fight each other. Same thing here under different circumstances. You got the two popular Marvel characters, Iron Man and Captain America, who are going to duke it out with each other. So in those terms, it was just really interesting to see how they were going to do that. Now, is this a flat-out competition? No. Like I said in the beginning of the video, I don't think this is a war between Marvel and DC. I think it's a smart choice. Who knows which studio had their movie planned first? Arguably, DC had Batman versus Superman planned first because they came out and announced that basically right after Man of Steel came out, and that we were going to get a Batman versus Superman. Then of course they announced that Ben Affleck is playing Batman. So, and then that's been over a year ago now that we got that announcement, and now Marvel is coming out and saying we're going to do a Civil War. So arguably, yeah, DC had made the decision first, and then now you could say Marvel is kind of copying off of them, which, again, I don't think that that's the case. I think both of these studios are kind of taking notes from each other. They're saying that Marvel is saying that, oh, Batman versus Superman is working, like people are getting excited about it. I wonder if we did this. So it's a call and response kind of thing. It's a playoff of it. Same thing with DC's side. So DC is saying, oh, people got excited about Guardians of the Galaxy, so that people can be into a kind of off-axis kind of movie. Suicide Squad. There you go. So again, that was the biggest thing that stood out about this whole slate of Marvel movies to me. Okay, so the next thing that stands out to me about this Marvel slated universe is their announcement of Captain Marvel, or Miss Marvel as you may know her. Now, the reason that this is a surprise is a couple of reasons. One, Captain Marvel is a character who has gone through many transformations of who the character was, kind of similar to Robin in on the DC cinematic side. Like there have been many names, Dick Grayson and several others that's gone under the name Robin. So just as I would not expect a standalone Robin film, I kind of feel the same way about a Captain Marvel film. Now, granted, Captain Marvel on Marvel's side is a bit more of a mainstay character than, or I'll say an out front character than, say, Robin was. Robin is in the DC Cinematic Universe. Robin is kind of like a secondary character to Batman. So, Captain Marvel in the Marvel Cinematic Universe or the comic book universe is more of an out front, kind of standalone character. So I would see a Captain Marvel movie well before I would see a standalone Robin movie, but still kind of the same principle goes in hand. And because so many people has played, if I'm not mistaken, first of all, the name Captain Marvel has been the identity of two different sets of people. So let's say it like this, at least from my understanding. You can correct me if I'm wrong. Captain Marvel was one person by, I believe it was a man at first. It was one person by himself. Now, the Captain Marvel that we're going to get in the movie cinematic universe that was announced on yesterday is a woman by the name of Carol Danvers. I believe that's her name. So basically what happens is how she becomes Captain Marvel is she's with Captain Marvel, the man. I believe it's a man again. She's with Captain Marvel, the man, and something happens. There's an explosion that kind of merges their DNA together, and when she resurfaces, she is Captain Marvel. Now, of course, later on down the line, she assumes the name of Miss Marvel. So again, it's kind of a convoluted story of how they, may try to play that out. I'm sure they may not go that route in the movie. They'll probably simplify it a little bit more. But to me, in my mind, that's a bit complicated in how that happens. So, like, who is Captain Marvel? And are you going to call her Captain Marvel, or are you going to call her Miss Marvel? So they said the term Captain Marvel. Now, of course, that could be a working title. It could change, by the time they get ready to come out with the movie, which possibly could change. Now, so again, that's the first thing that stands out about that announcement to me. The other thing is now Miss Marvel or Captain Marvel, whichever one you want to refer to her as, seems again to be a sort of answer to the Wonder Woman movie. We've got an announcement of the standalone Wonder Woman movie, which is basically going to be the first incarnation of a female-led superhero movie on film. Now, arguably, there's been some in the past, but in terms of the comic book structure or the comic book universe that we have now, Wonder Woman will be the first. And this is Wonder Woman's first time out of all of the people that we've announced, it's her first time being in a movie on her own, a standalone movie. And so we're finally going to get that, a female heroine, a movie. So again, Marvel's side, it seems like this is kind of an answer to that. Now we're kind of moving into this more diversified kind of universe where we're not only getting, just all male-led characters, we're getting some female-led characters as well. So again, that seems to be their answer to that. So again, it's not a competition. I'm not saying that Marvel is copying off DC or vice versa. Like, it's not happening like that. It's just that both people are recognizing, they're taking cues from each other, saying, oh, maybe Marvel is saying, oh, so people are interested in a Wonder Woman universe. How about we try Captain Marvel or Miss Marvel? Great. So what it means for us, we're getting great movies. We're getting two great female superhero movies. Now, if you want to read I know most people know the history and the story of Wonder Woman, which they announced they're going to play with a little bit of the mythology. So basically, Wonder Woman is going to be the daughter of Zeus or something like that. Which I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that's the origin story of Wonder Woman in the New 52. But classically speaking, she's an Amazonian woman and all that kind of stuff. So in the movie, they're going to play with her mythology a little bit. So, and they probably will do the same thing with Miss Marvel, which I just said. They probably take that whole complexity out of the story and just make it a simple story so people can relate to it. But again, they're not copying off each other. They're just taking cues, guys. They're just saying, okay, this can be done. Oh, that's working. Let us try this. So, and it's funny because, we're on the ground here, so to speak, thinking like, oh, they're up there fighting with each other. The execs at Marvel and DC are fighting and battling with each other. And I'm willing to bet that these guys are good friends with each other. They probably go out for coffee and brag about, I have a good friend that, I do that with, we just brag and talk about, our different things going on. That's just human nature. and they both go back to their respective studios and say come up with some ideas and make some movies. So I believe each of these universes are making each other better, or each of them individually better. So now DC can take cues from Marvel. Marvel can take cues from DC, and the result for us is we get awesome, great movies. I mean, come on, guys, if you're not excited for the next 5 or 6 years for all of these movies that we're getting, really, Justice League, a movie that most of us have been, any superhero fan has been dreaming about a Justice League movie, since day one, since all of these comic book movies have come out. We've been saying, okay, Justice League, Justice League. I mean, that alone, Flash, Wonder Woman. On the Marvel side, we're getting 2 more Avengers movies. We're getting, a Civil War movie between Tony Stark and Steve Rogers. Miss Marvel, all of that. A Cyborg movie on DC side. So, guys, you got to be excited. So, who cares about a competition between DC and Marvel? As long as we're getting good movies, you can call it whatever you want to call it. They can keep battling or not battling or competing or whatever it is. Just give us good movies, and I'll be happy. So anyway, that's I know I digress a little bit, but that's the thing that stood out about the Marvel slate to me. All right, guys, so I know today's video has probably gone a little bit longer than what my normal videos are, and that's just because there was so much to talk about with this DC Universe and Marvel Universe about their upcoming movies over the next few years. It's a very exciting time for us as comic book fans. I'm so looking forward to seeing all of these movies, each and every one. I wish I could buy tickets, prepaid tickets for them today to make sure I get my seat. So anyway, that being said, guys, I'll end the video here. Make sure you jump down in the comment section and let me know your thoughts about, both the DC Cinematic Universe and the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I'd love to hear your thoughts and, us dialogue a little bit about it, in the comment sections like we usually do. Jump down and let me know your thoughts. And make sure you subscribe to the channel. If you haven't done that, go do that right now. I'm going to be putting out, of course, a lot more videos. As you see, we have a lot more to talk about coming up in the future. I'm sure there'll be plenty more announcements and stuff to come up. And as they come out, we'll talk about them. So again, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Go do that now. And until then, I'll see you guys in the next video.